Hey, beautiful. Are you ready for a really deep transformation that starts this week? Might have even been trickling in a little bit for some of you. We have the Scorpio new moon on the 20th of November for most people. Some people it might be on the 19th because it's at like 12:50 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're on the West Coast, you'll get it late on the 19th. But this new moon is really, really potent and special. So in this video, I'm going to explain the astrology of what makes this new moon stand out and what makes it seem really, really deep and potent and transformative. And then I'm going to share 7 simple ways that you can let this new moon be your cosmic co-conspirator for your brand new beginning, your deep transformation that again is only going to be starting around this week. So you're not going to get the full complete change this week, but you're going to be laying that foundation. You're going to be planting those seeds. You're going to be doing some demolition perhaps to clear the ground and clear the space for what you're going to be building over the next several months for most of us. Okay. And as always, astrology is not forcing anything on us. This is here for you if you want to leverage it. So I want to start with the fact that the new moon is in Scorpio, which is already the sign or the energy of power. It is already potent, deep, and transformative. So in and of itself, no matter what else is going on a Scorpio moon phase, we know it's going to be transformative, deep, and powerful. Scorpio is a water sign. It's fixed water. And so water itself is emotional. Water deals with our emotions. It deals with our heart. And it deals with things that are deep and cleansing. And it deals with spirituality, right? So on top of all that, this new moon, the moon and the sun are together in the sky. And guess what other planet is right there at the exact same spot with the sun and the moon? Mercury retrograde, okay? So that means this new moon is conjunct a Mercury cazimi. Now, Mercury cazimis are considered times or moments when we have epiphanies and downloads. We might get an unexpected insight or a clear understanding of something that was previously unknown or unrecognizable to us before. However, with Mercury being retrograde, we might get new information, we might have the insight, but it might still be murky as to what it really means and what the implications and the fallout or the consequences of that new information or insight might be. We might not have it just yet, right? It might take a while for Mercury to go direct again for us to gain clarity on whatever comes to light with this Mercury cazimi. And for that reason, in my weekly newsletter, so if you weren't aware, I post a weekly email newsletter every week. It has lots of goodies in it and little spaces and pockets of additional yumminess, including poetry and books and design and boutique items. So I'm really geeked about it. You can subscribe in the description box below if you haven't already. But with what I was saying in my newsletter is that even though it's a new moon and the sky is dark, we usually don't associate new moons with information and ideas coming to light because there is no light on the night of a new moon. However, it's reflecting or parallel to a new moon or a full moon because of this Mercury cazimi, okay? But that's not it. So much more. The fact that this new moon in Scorpio is part of a grand water trine in the signs of Pisces and Cancer is making this that much more potent, spiritual, cleansing, and transformative. Okay. So all of these planets are also retrograde. So Mercury, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, as well as Uranus, which is opposite the moon. I'll get to that in just a second. But the planets that are part of the grand water trine are all retrograde, okay? So we are going under. We've been on the surface, we've been in the sun, kind of splashing around when all these planets were going direct. But now that they're all going retrograde, it's like allowing ourselves to sink and submerge beneath the surface, to go deep and see what else is there, right? That we might not have been paying attention to when life was just moving along as normal, as usual. And the retrogrades are also important for transformation because they help us to reassess, to reevaluate what's not working, what no longer fits, what are we outgrowing, what has shifted, what has adjusted, what has broken or needs repair, what needs fixing, what do we really need to do in order to be ready for the the new beginning, the new chapter, the next leg of our journey, right? And so before we usher in all that this new chapter will be, the brilliance of our, evolution, we have to first do some clearing out. We have to first do some decluttering and some um I think burying and discarding and eliminating of old things. And so all of this retrograde energy in this watery sign, it's going to be very, very potent and powerful time to be doing that kind of work, okay? In preparation. So kind of like tilling the soil or treating the water so that it's not toxic to the new plant life that we're hoping to plant and grow in the season ahead. Now, with the Uranus opposition, so this grand water trine, the Mercury Cazimi being conjunct the new moon, all these things are supportive and brilliant. And the Uranus opposition, so the moon is standing directly across the retrograde Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And this is also supportive. I feel like astrology is always supportive, but sometimes support looks like surprise, shock, unexpected revelation about something that's broken or not working. So there's going to be like a mini eclipse energy with this opposition to Uranus. Uranus is the planet of surprises, shocks, but it's also the planet of the future. It's also the planet of liberation. It's also the planet of originality and authenticity, right? And so it wants us to start this new chapter from the most authentic, the most free, and the most, I think, not potent. I'm looking for a word, an example. The truest place that we could possibly start from. So I sense that this Uranus opposition might show us where things have been built on false premises, where there have been some faulty wiring, some shoddy wiring. You can check out my other video. I'll put a card or a link to it at the end or in the caption where I talked about Uranus retrograde along with the Mercury retrograde. We're rewiring our belief systems and rewiring our value systems. So Uranus opposition to this new moon, I really feel like, yes, we're going to be planting seeds for a new beginning, setting intentions for a new chapter, a deeply transformative, version of ourselves that is radically, beautifully, lovingly, so much more different than we've ever been if we lean into it, if we leverage it, if we welcome that support for moving forward. But this Uranus opposition is sort of saying, we're going to make sure that you're strong enough for what your vision is in the future. We're going to make sure that your systems, the systems you have in place, can support this launch, this quantum leap into your next chapter. We're going to make sure that the identity that you have in the world, the friends you have in your life, the place where you're living, it's going to depend on where it is in your birth chart, right? So based on your rising sign, it's going to show what area of life this is most likely to impact. And so whatever is not supportive, whatever is a hindrance or a stumbling block for your transformation in that area, for your new beginning, 11:11 on the clock, as I'm saying this, you might become aware of that. And it might come unexpectedly. It might be unexpected news, something that was not working or something that's not supportive of your future that you had no awareness of could potentially be what happens, what comes across. And so when we think about all the things I've just said, what I also note is that we're still in a 9-year, but we're gearing up for that 1 year. Again, 1 is asking us to start something new and make it authentic. We want to be the trailblazer, the leader of our life. We want to be bold and adventurous and really set something in motion that's going to last for another decade. 2026 is going to be the start of another 9-year cycle. And so this Scorpio full moon with this deep watery baptism of the cosmos is asking us to really, really plant some deep roots, to really, really ensure that we have the capacity, that we have cultivated the spirituality and the practices and the belief systems and the mindsets and the heart sets that are going to help us to lay the best possible foundation we can in 2026 to continue building and evolving and growing and learning and stretching and living and thriving for that next 9-year cycle. Okay. And okay, so 9 years, just to be clear, are about completions and endings. And so it's the end of the past 9 years, and next year will be the beginning. And so, as I was saying, because we're in a 9-year, even though this is a new moon and new moons are about beginnings, this 9-year energy is still going to be very, very heavy and potent and showing us, revealing to us, helping us to understand and discern what needs to end, what needs to be eliminated, what needs to die so that the new can live, so that the new can prosper and flourish. And Scorpio itself rules death. Scorpio rules all things death, which brings me to the part of this video where I share 7 basic ways that anybody, this is for beginners, people who've never done a new moon ritual before, people who have been doing them their entire lives, all of you can take one or more of these 7 basic ways to tap into this hydro-powered new moon, okay? So let's begin with 1 is to journal. Right? I told y'all it was going to be simple, right? For all skill levels, all experience levels. Most of you watching this have some concept of how to journal, right? But specifically, I want you to journal because this week might seem subtle. All that I'm saying about this week, for many people, it might seem uneventful. It might seem like not a whole lot happened. So 1, I'll say, it's up to you to take initiative. It's up to you to use your agency to start something in your life. We can't just sit and wait for the world to happen to us, right? We have to be active, engaged participants in our reality. But on top of that, it's a reminder that this is just planting the seeds. On the new moon, we're just planting the seeds. And so, yes, it is very likely to be a subtle energy, although I'm not sure about that with Uranus being in direct opposition. That might influence how subtle this new moon is or isn't. But you can journal about this week. And I would say not just on the night of the new moon, but journal for the entire week. Because in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 18 months, 2 years, 9 years from now, you can look back at that journal and connect the dots and start to see, okay, yes, everything that's important and major and significant in my life has some kind of tie or thread back to the intentions and the practices and the learning and the growth that I was doing around the time of this Scorpio new moon in November of 2025. The second one is very closely related to journaling, but it's specifically to track your dreams. So you might already have a dream journal. If you don't, you can make this part of your regular journaling practice, or you can use an app. I recommend the Aisling Dream, AISLING Dream app. I'm not directly affiliated with them or anything. I might link to that as well. Or you can just use a notebook. You can use your notes app on your phone. You can use a Google Doc, anything to write down your dreams if you remember them. And set the intention to remember your dreams. And so the reason why I'm making this my second recommendation is because the watery grand trine with the new moon in Scorpio, Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter in Cancer retrograde, it's a very psychic time. It's a very deeply intuitive time. All water signs are inherently very, very intuitive, emotional, psychic. They get a lot of information from across the veil, but even more so with the focal point being in Scorpio. As I mentioned, Scorpio rules all things death, but it includes life after death, right? And so we might be getting a lot of information from the other side, from beyond the veil, that comes through in dreams, okay? And also you don't have to understand your dreams right away, right? Just the mere act of writing them down right now can again help you to connect some dots and start to see patterns play out as this new beginning unfolds over time. The third thing is to bury and or plant something. So to bury something as literally or symbolically or visualizing yourself burying something that represents the past, the thing that you're eliminating, the thing that you're going to mourn and grieve, but ultimately release and let go of. So you can do one or both of these things. Plant something that represents the new stuff that you want to manifest and bring into your reality going forward, right? I think you amplify the potency by doing both. Doing a ritual where, again, you either literally bury something like an old object or a letter or a photograph of someone or of yourself from a prior time, or an item, a trinket that represents a former version of yourself, and then to plant something. So again, you can do this literally, you can do it symbolically, such as burying something in water, right? That's what baptism is in many religious circles. It's a symbolic burial of your old self and you come up as a new self, right? But also you can visualize. So if you don't have the tools or the resources to do something physically or symbolically, you can do a visualization of you burying those things and of you planting the new things that you want to nurture and grow into the future. The fourth thing is to do research. Scorpio, yes, is the sign of research. And so this applies to any Scorpio new moon or any Scorpio full moon, any Scorpio transit at all. You are inclined to be more adept, first of all, at the research, especially with Mercury going retrograde in Scorpio. We are looking for some old facts. There's like some information that we once forgot. Like I used to know this thing, but it's kind of slipped my mind. I've lost the details of it, so I want to go back and research that. Or you might be researching something brand new. You might be researching something related to what you want to manifest into the future, what you want to build and grow in the future. And you can research yourself. I love that aspect of this. And you can go back through your old journals. Maybe around the time of this new moon, you look at your old journals as part of your burial and release of older versions, older patterns, older chapters of your life to make emotional space in your life, right? And so also researching things that maybe you have always been interested in, but they seemed a little trivial or they seemed odd or strange to people. And so you never allowed yourself to really spend some time exploring and learning about that thing because you were like, I have other more important things to do, right? And so I would say, again, because we're in this grand water trine and we're very, very intuitive, if you feel called, if you feel that nudge to say, I actually want to check out a library book on this topic. I actually want to subscribe to this newsletter on that topic. I actually want to talk to my neighbor who I know has had a career in that particular thing that I'm interested in. So allow yourself to do the research that you feel compelled or nudged to do around this time. The fifth thing is directly related to that, which is talking to a therapist. So this is in the realm of doing research on yourself, doing research into your deeper psyche, but bringing along a therapist or a therapist adjacent practitioner or guide or really wise counsel from a friend or an elder or a mentor who can help you. And I say this again because Scorpio rules psychology and psychologists, right? And so going deep into our psyches could be productive around this time, especially as we focus our attention on what's new. Number 6, again, Scorpio new moon, so no surprises that the suggestion here is to commune with ancestors or deceased loved ones. And again, the sky's the limit here in terms of you being creative and doing this in a way that feels authentic to you and following the little nudges that you feel. So some of you might create an altar with photos and items of your ancestors or passed on loved ones. Some of you might just spend time thinking and reflecting about them, thinking about their lives, thinking about your memories with them. You might say their name, you might say a prayer for them, you might light a candle for them, you might do other things, right? Or you might even spend some time at their gravesite, because Scorpio rules graveyards and cemeteries, right? And so you could visit their grave and spend some time there, bring them fresh flowers and say a prayer. Or people in my family, they have meals, they break bread with each other at the grave sites of passed on loved ones during the anniversaries or the birthdays of that person. And then number 7, Grand Water Trine. The advice here is to work with water in some way. And so I highly recommend taking a spiritual bath, right? And you can use, do a salt bath. You can include herbs, certain essential oils or special bath products. An apothecary or a botanica in your local town, or a virtual one that you can order from if there's time by the time you see this video. Or you can do visualizations with water, or visualizations of yourself being washed and cleansed, of your space being washed and cleansed with clear, bright water, fresh water. Or you can do something symbolic, right? You can place water in a bowl or in a vase, or you can listen to rain sounds or river sounds. So again, what comes to mind as I make these suggestions is probably more useful for you than me being overly prescriptive and saying, do this specific exact ritual. All right. And so I am really excited for all of us. And I know that if you're watching this video, you're someone who is seeking a deeper connection with yourself and with source. You're wanting to really center your spirituality in your life in a more intentional and holistic way. And so I encourage you to, again, check out the newsletter, check out all the links in my description box below. If you want to book a private session with me, they are available. I do have spots available. And I also have one-on-one coaching available, which is more hands-on, a little more extensive than just the individual sessions. And also lots of goodies coming. And as I mentioned in the previous video, so this part is for the people who are really, really invested in the community of Dr. Sarah's Café. I have so much more clarity around the vision, right? And how I can build it virtually and eventually into the real world in a brick and mortar sense. And I am appreciative of everyone who watches, who tunes in, who likes, shares, subscribes, comments. We are in this together, really, as a collective. And I know it's a big part of my calling and my destiny to show up and teach and share and serve in this way. And I hope that me following my calling and leaning into my own destiny inspires you and encourages you and motivates you to do more of that for yourself as well. Okay? Mwah. Take care. Much love.